Okay, in today's video, I want to be talking about the Pomodoro technique and how you can use it to be more productive when you're in the studio. Whether you're producing music or you're mixing and mastering your music, this is a technique that can really help you. And I'm going to talk about the technique and how to actually implement it, as well as just using a timer in general to kind of jumpstart yourself and to kind of ensure that you get into flow state. So let's go ahead and get started. So here I got this nice little timer off of Amazon. I think it was like 20 bucks. I'm gonna go ahead and link it in the description below. And I really love this little thing because basically there's like a bunch of different modes on it, but you can turn it on and then with whatever direction you flip it. And so there's different times. There's 10 minute, 50 minute, 5 minute, 25 minute, whichever way you flip it, it'll actually start the timer and it'll count down and a little alarm will go off once it's finished. And for the Pomodoro technique, the way it's actually implemented is you have about 4 sessions of 25 minutes. And so you work for 25 minutes, you have a 5-minute break, and then you work again, 25 minutes, 5-minute break. You do this 4 times, and then after that, you take about a 15-minute break. And what this helps is it really helps you to stay focused, and it also helps you to stay focused without getting too fatigued. And what I would recommend is, let's say you just want to produce and be creative. You can have 4 creative sessions. And what I would say is during that 5-minute break though, don't produce and then for 5 minutes go on and then binge social media or something like that. What I would do is, what I have been doing is work for 25 minutes, timer goes off, go take a walk. And then just think about things. Don't consume like your phone or social media, anything like that. And it's gonna really help you. And it's just a nice way to be really productive, okay? So I'd recommend trying this technique. And obviously you don't need to get a timer. You can just use your watch or a stopwatch. The timer is pretty cool because it's just like a nice little physical little thing that you can have on your desk. And it's cool looking. And the whole purpose of this is to implement the Pomodoro technique. So I really like it. You don't need to get it. But that also makes me want to talk about this idea of kind of getting into flow state. And, you know, Cal Newport talks about this a lot in his book, Deep Work and Digital Minimalism. And I think he actually talks about how it could take, and don't quote me, it can take like 45 to 55 minutes or so until you even get into a like flow state of work. And so, you know, there is the Pomodoro technique, which you can use, which is great. But another technique, something else that you can do is like if you take this timer, for example, or your watch or whatever, you said there's a 50-minute option on here. And what you can do is, let's say that you're just having a hard time kind of getting in the zone. Well, oftentimes what that is that you're just not focusing on one thing long enough. And so let's say you work for 10 minutes and then you check Facebook or Instagram. You're just going to get, it's called context switching, and you're just not going to really be able to focus. And so what you should try is get a timer, set it for 15 minutes, get into productive, whether you have to turn your internet off or block Google or whatever, open up your DAW, set the timer for 50 minutes and have it in front of you so that you can see it, and then make your goal to just get into the zone and produce for 50 minutes. And then once that 50 minutes goes up, after working for so long, you might find that you're actually in flow state, okay? And if, in case you don't know what flow state is, another word for flow state is like being in the zone, okay? If you've ever played any sports, like often basketball players, they'll be like in the zone. If you're watching basketball and you notice there's a player who for like, you know, let's say for 20, 30 minutes, he's going down, it's like he's throwing 3-pointers, they go in every single time, he's in the zone and like nothing can stop him. And you may have felt this whether you're doing EDM production. I've gotten into the zone and like into flow state quite a bit with EDM production, where you're just working on stuff and it's like, you know, every next move to make, you just flow and you're not even thinking about it and you're feeling good. Your mind is in that no mind state, which they talk about in meditation, where you're not thinking about anything else. You're just in flow state and everything is kind of going effortlessly. You'd find this in sports, any kind of creative tasks like music production, but like just think about examples of in your life where you have done some kind of work on something and you just notice that you start to get into this effortless like zone where doing it without trying and it's like everything works. Okay, that's kind of the best way I can explain it. It's kind of hard to explain. You can just Google flow state and look into it. There's actually a psychologist who was the one who invented the term and actually studied it. I can't pronounce his name, but look into it. But yeah, so that's what I wanted to talk about, is just using the Pomodoro technique to really be more productive with your time, but also using a timer, whether you're using Pomodoro or just setting a timer to get yourself into that flow state, is really going to help you when it comes to producing your music or other types of tasks. And so let's say that you just want to have a mixing session. Well, set a 15-minute timer, take all your stems, import them back into a project dry, and then now you're just going to mix and then just focus on that. Okay. And there is a difference between flow state and actually actively learning something and getting to in a deep work session where you're learning something that's more difficult and you might not necessarily feel that flow. It might be more difficult. Like let's say you're taking my course on compression, for example, and you're learning about compression. It's not going to feel like you're in flow. I forgot the term for it, but there's like flow state where you're effortlessly creating. And then there is like the state where you're learning something and you're in like a deep work session. And the timer can work really well, really great for that as well, just to keep you from getting distracted. So anyways, I just wanted to make this quick video and talk about that and just encourage you to explore it. And especially if you're someone who finds yourself getting distracted, especially if you're like that younger generation who grew up with a smartphone, my advice, and like what Cal would say, is when you are producing music or whatever you're doing, take your phone and just put it in another room. Your phone should have a place like in the kitchen or something where you charge it and it's just away from you. That way you're just not constantly being distracted, because the reality is our phones are actually just slot machines that are in our pockets. They are literally designed to get us addicted to them so that companies like Meta and whatever can make money off of our attention. Okay. So if you're a producer and you've been producing for over 6 months, over a year, and you have a track that you're working on and you just can't seem to get it to that professional level, go ahead and look in the description below, book a free call with me. We'll go over your track. I'll give you some free tips and strategies on how you can make it better. And then I'll talk about possibly helping you. I have multiple ways that I help producers, whether that's with my course or mixing and mastering for you to get your track to that level as quickly as possible. So look in the description below and book a call with me. And I look forward to talking to you soon. And I'll see you guys again next time.